If you are what you think about, then you have to start getting real careful about what you think about. Now you have to start this with being cautious about every conversation that you have with your friends, with your relatives, with your mother, with your husband, with your children, that focuses on what's missing in your life. Because if you want to attract something into your life, something good, something grand, something godlike, something prosperous, something of well-being, health, whatever it might be, if you want to attract that into your life, but you're talking about what's missing and thinking about what's missing, and you understand that what you think about is what expands, you will continue to expand more of what's missing, and you'll continue to attract what's missing in your life. I never talk about what's missing in my life. I only put my attention on what I intend to create. And I have shifted it. And I learned this lesson a long time ago, but the place that it probably expresses it better than any is Esther and Jerry Hicks' book, Ask and It Is Given. The Teachings of Abraham is called Learning to Manifest Your Desires. Have more than anything, I think they're the greatest, among the really greatest teachings on the planet today. And I know Esther and Jerry, I know them well, I've been with them on many occasions. It's about practicing this idea of not putting your thoughts on what is missing and shifting it to, it's on its way. It's on its way. It's on its way. 4 words, just get them tattooed someplace inside of you. Whatever it is that you would like to attract into your life, know that it's on its way. And I want to say to you that as you begin to get your thoughts more harmonized with Tao thinking, that is, with the thinking of the source, the thinking of God, that which always has been, that which does nothing but leaves nothing undone. As you begin to more and more harmonize in this way, what happens is that you start elevating your thoughts so that the habit of how you think becomes more harmonized. Rather than a polarity with what you want to attract, it becomes harmonized with it, and it becomes your natural way of how you think all the time. And you start then beginning to teach your children the same way of thinking. So you just catch them when they start saying things like, oh, with my luck it won't work out. Why have any of us ever learned to say, with my luck, and having it mean things aren't going to work out? Why wouldn't you say, and just have it as your habit, with my luck, it'll probably show up faster than it normally does? Why not have that kind of a way? Because here's what happens. As you begin to shift the way that you think and have an anticipation that this thing is going to work out for you, you can only act upon your thoughts. And as you get these higher and higher thoughts, what happens is that the thought is now more aligned with what it is you want to attract, and then you start acting upon that thought. And as you start acting upon the thought that it will work out, that it's probably on its way, you start to see how this whole system all works. In other words, call it the universe, whatever you want, begins to conspire with you. It begins to act almost where you suddenly become a collaborator with fate. And instead of fate being something that just might or might not happen to you, you're in collaboration with what it is that you want to attract. I mean, ask any physician, there's physicians here today, ask them about something called the will to live. Ask them about somebody who's going in for a corneal transplant and thinks that I'm going to see when this thing is done, rather than someone who thinks it probably won't work out. And which one would they rather work with? What is this thing called the will to live? What is this thing, this inner kind of thing that says, I refuse to allow myself to think? I say to my mother, who's 90 years old, almost 91 years old. I was with her for the last 5 days, every day, all morning long with her. And she's been going through some difficulties and so on. Most of you saw her on the PBS show, if you saw The Inspiration. She has always said to me how she was going to die. She said it to me when she was 60. what her death was going to look like, when she was going to die in her sleep, and it was going to be, it was going to be a peaceful thing, and she was going to do it when she was ready. When she was ready, she would leave, and she would know when it was time. And she says, and don't think it's time. I said, well, you got a hangnail there. Maybe we should just move on with it. And she said, no, I'll tell you when I'm ready. But she has always said, I will never allow Alzheimer's into my life. She's always said that is not something. She'll say things like, well, I can't remember this name quite as well as I did before, but that concept of all, it's just not anything that I've ever allowed myself to think is a possibility. And I said to her, well, what if you're wrong? She'll say, well, who'll know the difference? And they've done research on this, in studies on gerontology, where what does your life look like from 60 plus versus what does your life look like below, from 60 down to into your 20s? That people who live a dynamic life into their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, people who feel strong, who don't feel that getting older means that I have to in any way decline any place, physically or mentally. Getting older has nothing to do with the concept of declining. That when people are in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, and this is their perception of what their life is going to be like when they're in their 60s, that those people have a much greater chance of not attracting the kinds of diseases that are so much age-related as do people who think of old as infirm and declining throughout their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. That you change the way you believe about that and you say declining is not a possibility. I don't think about what's missing. You don't put your attention on what's missing. You don't tell other people about what's missing. And you don't tell other people about what you can't do and what isn't working and how terrible the world is. And the Tao teaches so much of it was written for leaders, people in positions of power. But I've translated all of that into your own level of leadership. And the great leaders are the ones who eschew violence. You have got to get yourself to a place where you don't allow yourself to have violent thoughts come into your consciousness. That means you got to watch the movies you're watching. That means the games that your children are playing, video games, have got to be monitored and removed when they have violence built into them. It means that you don't watch the news and you don't read the stories endlessly reaffirming what a terrible place this world is. It is not a terrible place. It's a perfect place. It's a beautiful place. There are just some leaders who are connected to Tao and others who are not. And we can create the kind of world that we want to create when enough of us begin to say, not part of my consciousness. Nope, I don't buy gossip. No, I don't buy violence. No, I don't have anything to do with that. And you just turn the channel, you turn it off. I pick up a Time magazine when I get on a flight and I go through and I say, I won't read the stories that involve killing. I won't read this. I don't need to hear any more about any more people blowing themselves up. I don't need to continue to have that as a part of my consciousness because I want to be someone who radiates out God-realized thinking. That's what I want to do. And I can't do that if I'm constantly being imbued with that. So I just go through the pages, and usually I say, oh, just threw away another $4.95. There's nothing in it to read. Every once in a while, good story about maybe Tiger Woods or something, but by and large, there's not much in there. And you don't have to fill yourself with that kind of energy. So you don't put your thoughts on what's missing. You don't put your thoughts on what always has been. You don't put your thoughts on what others want for you, unless you want more of what others want for you to continue to show up into your life. So that if you're having conflicts with anybody that's out there, you don't have to put your attention on any thought that is out of harmony with the relationship that you would like to have. It doesn't have to be. You can have a love story replace a hate story by just changing your thoughts in any moment of your life. As you'll see, some of you will see it this afternoon, as Katie works with some of you and does the work and teaches you to ask yourself these questions about how can you be sure? How can you be sure that that thought is true?
Do you want to develop consistent good habits like reading, going to the gym every day, learning new languages, or practicing new instruments? Or do you want to kick bad habits like eating unhealthy food, biting your nails, watching too much TV?
3 years from now, you can have what you need. You got to be careful about it. You can't have everything. You can have what would be good for you, but you have to figure out what it is, and then you have to aim at it.
We know that sometimes you can be uncomfortable, but you can be uncomfortable and hopeful rather than uncomfortable and fearful.
People go through their lives without knowing what it is they want to do.
You don't have to be where you think you want to be in order to be happy. You just got to be on the way to where you want to be in order to be happy.
You're going to get what you're looking for. So if you're looking for success, you're looking for happiness, you're looking for prospects, you're looking for recruits or clients, I'm telling you, the more you're consciously looking for those things, you're going to see them. When you're looking to win, you're looking for victory.
Sit on your bed one day and ask yourself, what remarkably stupid things am I doing on a regular basis to absolutely screw up my life? And if you actually ask that question, but you have to want to know the answer, right? Because that's actually what asking the question means. It doesn't mean just mouthing the words. It means you have to decide that you want to know.
So be very careful what you set your mind towards, what your outcomes are, because you're going to find them. Your mind's powerful. You're powerful. You're more powerful than you think you are. And if you could just get clear on what you're looking for, get super specific with great clarity, great specificity about what it is you want, it's sitting there for you to find if you look for it.
The time is now. The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great.
Right there and then, you have an opportunity to steer your thoughts and your emotions in the direction that you want them to go, not in the direction that they're telling you to go. In other words, you can literally choose to seize the day, or you can let the day seize you.
If you're fearful all the time, your point of attraction is very far from what you really want. If you're ornery all the time, or a lot of the time, your point of attraction is different from what you want. Your emotions are your indicator of what you're doing vibrationally. You've been listening to us long enough to sort of understand what we mean by that?
Don't worry about what needs to be done. Think about who you have to be in order to get it done.
Did you ever have a dream that was so big that you thought it was almost impossible to achieve? I've had those dreams. And while not every dream has become a reality, along the way I learned a powerful approach of picturing that has helped me achieve most. Since that day, I've had other dreams, other big dreams. And in each case, I would picture where I wanted to be, and I would visualize what I would be doing and who I would be doing with when I got there. As the saying goes, you can't make a basket if you never take the shot. I knew I would miss the shot sometimes, and the failure would dampen my spirit, but I would be better off for my efforts and I would be okay.
People are addicted to all kinds of things, substances, but one of the greatest addictions, or rather the greatest addiction, you never read about it in the papers, because the people who are addicted to it don't know it. It's the addiction to thinking. It's actually addictive. Can't stop thinking. It's like can't stop drinking, can't stop smoking, can't stop eating, can't stop thinking.
You have the option of taking it hard or taking it easy, of making the worst of it or making the best of it, of giving it your undivided attention, of giving it very little of your attention. You have more control over your focus than most of you have been exercising. And when you begin caring about how you feel more than everything else put together, so that you exercise your ability to focus upon things that do feel good, you begin to discover that in every particle of the universe there is that which is wanted and lack of it.
My visualization has helped me achieve most of my goals. And what I learned along the way is it didn't take twice as much effort. It only took an extra 10%.
When we fail, life continues as it is. We can stay in our comfort zone. Success, on the other hand, challenges us. It pushes us and it exposes us to rejection. How are we going to manage this new success?
If you're not happy, you're not successful. If you're not enjoying yourself during the process of whatever it is you're trying to achieve, there's a problem. To me, the biggest disease on this planet is unhappiness. And the reason why people are unhappy is because we have a tendency to keep focusing, as I said, on what we don't have, on what's not working in our lives, instead of allowing ourselves to shift our focus and our way of thinking.
People always want to be like, follow your dreams, follow your dreams, follow your dreams. My dream was always to be a rap artist, right? But I had to get a job. So I had to focus on my job. And then I made money to follow my dream.
One of the main reasons that people don't get what they want is because they don't actually figure out what it is. And the probability that you're going to get what would be good for you, let's say, which would even be better than what you want, right? Because you might be wrong about what you want, easily. But maybe you could get what would really be good for you.
You have the freedom to think anything you want. You were born extremely confident. You came into this world knowing how wonderful you are. So choose new thoughts to think about yourself, and choose new words to tell yourself how magnificent you are, and that you deserve all the good that life has to offer. First thing in the morning and last thing in the evening, I want you to look into your eyes and say, I love you. I really love you.
Your first goal, this is what I'm suggesting, your first goal when you open up your eyes should be to focus on the things that ignite your spirit and bring you joy. I want you to focus on the things that you appreciate in your life, the things that you're grateful for. I don't care who it is or what it is. Maybe it's the person lying next to you. Maybe you're thinking of your children. Maybe you're thinking of the dog or the cat lying by the side of the bed, a particular goal that you achieved. Maybe there's an event coming up on the weekend. Maybe you're meeting with your friends for lunch. You see, folks, it doesn't matter who it is or what it is. There's always something to be grateful for, to appreciate. And what I'm asking you to do in those few moments before you crank and get into your day is to focus on these things. And why am I asking you to do this? Because an attitude of gratitude simply makes you feel good. And feeling good is the fuel that drives motivation.
We've all made wrong choices and done things that we knew were not the best. It's one thing when other people do us wrong. We had a bad break. It wasn't our fault. We can have faith that God will restore. He'll pay us back. But when we bring the trouble on ourselves, when we blow it, it's easy to live in regrets, thinking that God's not going to help us. We made the mess. But here's the beauty. God knew you would mess up before He called you. He knew we would get off course, at times give in to temptation. He didn't base His plan for your life on you making perfect decisions.
Through success, I represent the possibility of what you can achieve and what you can do with your life and your career. Other people's success represents the possibility of what you can do. Those are the records that you can sell. Those are the type of tours that you can do. Those are the kind of songs that you can produce and the songs that you can write. Those are the millions of dollars that you can get, or billions. Those are the type of architectural drawings and buildings that you can build. Those are the type of books that you can sell. Everybody else's success represents the possibility of what you could do.